All right, everyone, good morning. Just a couple things to go over for this week's video. The first thing is the tessellation extra credit. It does not have an official due date. You know, if you get the chance, do the design, send it to me through Edmodo or on Teams, or to my email, and I'll give you the extra credit. I put on the gradebook, if some of you have seen, if your period had someone who completed the tessellation, I put the deadline for the last day of April. Um, but if you were to submit it afterwards, that's fine as well. Remember to sign into your student portal every day before 4 p.m. I can't stress that enough. If you do not sign in before 4 p.m., you will be marked absent for the day, okay? And it's going to be based on that administrators are going to start calling home and reaching out to you all. Even though we're doing Edgenuity for these next couple weeks, so this last week we did some, and this week we're going to have a couple more. I want you to still work on your iReady lessons. I will still keep assigning them. If you did not do any of the assignments from before or didn't complete any of the other 8 assignments I already did, please, please, please work on that. There's another thing. Some of us back in, I think it's October or so, I assigned a couple of the iReady lessons that I recently assigned. If you got 100% on the original assignment, I think one of the ones that I kept seeing was concept of a function. So if you received 100% on concept of a function, and let's say you did it again in the last 2 weeks and you did not do so great, maybe you got a 75 or an 88%, I gave you credit for the higher score. Now, that does not mean you can just forget about it. Please try to go back and get 100% because, it's been a while since we went over the lesson, and even though we have these weekly videos, I want to make sure that we all understand, especially in functions. It is a very, very important lesson. Um, Make sure that you all are doing your teacher assigned iReady lessons. I saw a lot of students when I did grades this weekend that you guys would go on, and I was so happy to see you spending hours and hours doing iReady lessons. And then I looked and they were like mid 4th grade, mid kindergarten. I need you guys to do the 8th grade teacher assigned lessons, okay? Now, every week, I'm going to do voting for the lesson of these YouTube videos. I did one last week. The majority of you all voted for scatter plots, which is what we are doing today. But I need you all to make sure that you're paying attention to Edmodo and Teams. Now, the last thing is grades. I'm putting grades in every week, probably around Friday or um, Saturday, the latest. I'm going through and checking from the week before. So, for example, this week, I'm going to look for the Edgenuity assignments. I'm going to put them into the grade book. So, I need you all to make sure you're paying attention, that you're doing your work, and you can get your A's and B's for it, okay? Please, please, please tell your friends. If you check your grade book and you have not done anything, I mean, you've signed in, you've checked the Edmodo, but you have not completed any assignments, I put in zeros for everything. If I see that you have, started working on some of them, maybe you're not there yet, or, you were one of the ones that did 5 hours of kindergarten work, I did not put the zeros in, but keep in mind that this week, if I don't see any teacher assigned lessons, I'm going to start putting the zeros. You just do the iReady lessons and I will change those for you. Just make sure you are completing them. And if you get a 75, this is what I've told a couple students, if you get a 75 on one of the lessons, um, don't spend 20 hours trying to get 100%. Keep going. Um, do all the lessons first, right? Because it's better to have a couple C's, a B, and some A's scattered around than just one A and 7 zeros, right? So make sure you do all those. Once you have finished all the lessons, go back. I want you all to get 100% on these iReady assignments. So I want you to go back. I just want to make sure that you understand everything else in the topic first. Okay? And the last thing is a project. I'm considering giving us a project for this 9 weeks. I'll put a poll in Edmodo and Teams sometime this week so that we can kind of vote on a topic and see what we want to do there. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing is vocabulary, right? We always do vocabulary first. Bivariate data. So we can see that we have the bivariate, so we can kind of assume it's going to be data. Oops. Data with two variables, right? And when we're doing graphs, we know our two variables are usually always x and y. So with two variables or pairs of numerical observations. Okay, so that's our first definition. And our second one are scatter plots, right? We kind of already did scatter plots. They're a graph that shows the relationship between a data set with two variables, right? Because we always need an x and a y for our tables and graphs with two variables graphed as ordered pairs on a coordinate plane. Right, so, and if we remember, when things are scattered, they're not going to be in a perfect order. They're going to kind of be all around, right? So kind of like that. That's a very basic example of a scatter plot. So, types of association. Now remember, when we read graphs left to right, right? Just like we read books. We read from the left to the right. So if I'm looking at my graph here, I'm reading it left to right, I can see that I'm going up, right? That is a positive association. As x increases, your y increases. Now, a negative, again, I'm reading left to right. And I'll actually do that in red. I'm reading left to right. And I'm going to notice that my graph is going down, right? As x increases, y decreases. That is a negative association. Okay, makes sense, right? Positives going up, negatives going down. If I'm getting money, I'm increasing, right? I'm going up. If I'm losing my money, it's going down. Now, then there are no associations. So no associations means there's no pattern, right? It's just a bunch of random information. It's usually seen with two variables that really don't have anything to do with each other. I think we did one example together before school had to close that, your age does not depend on how much TV you watch, right? Doesn't matter. I could be 21 and not have a job and spend my days watching TV all the time, or I can be, have a job and not have enough time and be in school and, I maybe watch 2 hours of TV. The age does not matter. So it's no association. There's no pattern. Okay? Next one, there are types of association. So if the data points look like they are in a line, it doesn't have to be, well, it has to be straight, it's a line, then it is going to be linear, okay? If you see any kind of curve in your data, right, we see here there's this big old curve, it is non-linear. All it's saying is your scatter plots are either going to be kind of in a line. That means that your data is going to be kind of similar. Everything's going to kind of be related. And your non-linear, there's going to be some kind of change, right? That's going to cause this sudden curve. Okay, so the data points lie close to a line is linear, and lie in the shape of a curve is non-linear. Pretty self-explanatory. So let's do a little quick check here. Now I have here, determine whether the association of each scatter plot below shows a positive, negative, or no association. So in this case, again, I'm reading left to right. My numbers seem to be going up, so it would be a positive. Now in the second one, and as a bonus, do we see any kind of curve? I don't, so I'm going to put that it is linear. Now I also have, once again, the second one, left to right, and I'm doing what? I'm going down. So this is actually a negative association, right? And it's also kind of in a line, so it is linear. Now the scatter plot shows the average price of gas at a gas station. As the weeks progress, does the price of gas increase or decrease? No. So again, we're going left to right. And we're going to see the first week was $1.80. 2 was a little bit more, I mean, I can see already that it is going up. There is a positive association, right? So, positive. All right. And that's pretty much the basics of the first lesson, right? And I can also say that this one is also linear. Most of the points are in a straight line. Okay. So, positive, negative, and increase, which is exactly what we said, right? So the next thing is the line of best fit. Now I kind of mentioned this one, I remember, to a few of you, but it is a line that shows, a line that is very close. A line that is very close to most of the data points in the scatter plot. So this obviously works best when we have a linear, but it can work with a nonlinear graph. So I'm just going to do an example. Right, if I have my data here, my line of best fit is going to be one that hits or at least touches a lot of my points in the scatter plot. Right, this is kind of like my average. Okay, it's a line of best fit. Now, we're going to go ahead and do the quick check for the next lesson. So number 1 says, the table below shows the test scores for students who studied different amounts of time. And we're going to just go ahead and graph it. I'm going to come over here actually. And we're going to make our nice little graph. It's not even. Okay. And let me go back and see my numbers. So I have 15, 35. So these are going to be my points. Oops, I'm going to change it out of that mode. Points, and here it's going to be my minutes. No, it'll be the opposite. Okay. So here's my points, and here are my minutes. Okay. Now, I have, let's see, 15, 35, 20. So my best bet is probably going to be going by, I'm going to do by fives. So here's my 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 50. So 60 was my highest, right? Now my highest one over here is 100. So what I'm going to do is we'll go by tens for here. And 100 should have been my highest right here. Actually, I think I'm going to go by fives. So when it comes to doing your graphs, doing the scale is going to be, you got to see your data, right? So you have to always check it out and see what's going to work best. And look at all your data points so this doesn't happen to you. 45, 50. Okay, I have to extend this a little bit. Okay, now comes the easier part, in my opinion, which is the graphing. So now I'm going to look through. I have 15 and 76. So I'm going to come over to 15 minutes. I'm going to go all the way up to 75. Now I'm at 76, so it's going to be a little bit higher than 75, right? So that's my first one. This is 15, 76. Done. My next one is 35.85. So 35, and I'm going to go over to 85. And here's my next one, 35.85. Cross it off. 20 and 82. So 20, here I have my 76. This is 80. Somewhere around there, right? 45 and 93. 45, I'm going to come over here. And it's going to be, kind of overlapping. 45.93. Then I have 50.97. I'm going to have to stop writing the numbers because I'm not going to have any more space. 60 and 100. So the student that took the maximum amount of time got the highest score, right? 30.89. Somewhere around here. And 40.91. So 40, yeah, somewhere around there. So this is my scatter plot, right? Now I'm going to come back over, construct a scatter plot of the data. We already did that. Then draw a line that seems to represent the best fit. So now I'm going to go back. Now my best fit is going to cut through as many of these. Right, that looks pretty good. Use the line of best fit to predict the test score for a student who studied for 25 minutes. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over at my graph, right? I'm going to come over to my 25 and what did someone else have 20? 2082. I was a little off with that one. So my 2082 is actually going to be over here. Fix my line there. So my new point, right, my estimate for 25 minutes, it's going to be somewhere around here, so maybe about 83 or 84, right? We're going to guess 83 or 84. Now the scatter plot shows the number of graduates of a computer program. Write an equation that represents the line that is drawn. So we're going to have to look and we're going to have to make our own, right? So we're going to look at our 2 points. This is where we have to do our y equals mx plus b, which if we remember, m is our slope, x is a point, and b is our y-intercept. Now I have to find 2 points on this graph that I'm going to use so that I can test this out. Let's see. We'll do these two. Now it's not going to be exact because I can't get, if you can see in the graph, it doesn't evenly hit some numbers. So this first point is 4, 16. And the second point we're going to use is 3.5 or 3.5 and 14. Right? So now remember, to find my slope, I'm going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now remember, it does not have to be that this one is first and this one is second. What matters is that if this number here is x1, this is y1. If this is x2, this is y2. Now, because I don't want to have to worry about fractions or negatives, I'm going to pick this 16 to be y2, making this one x2, and here's my x1 and y1. So I'm going to have 16 minus 14 over 4 minus 3.5. Okay, so that's going to be 16 minus 14 is 2 over 0.5, right? 4 minus 3.5 is going to be half. Now, if I were to write this out, this is going to be 2 over 1/2, and I'm going to simplify that, right, because I can do this is a number divided by a fraction, so I can change my division to a multiplication, and flip my 2 over 1, right? 2 times 2 is 4. So right now I have y equals 4x, and now I need to figure out my b. So I'm going to just plug in one of my points. I'm going to keep using 4 and 16 because it's nice and even. There's no fractions or anything like that. And I'm going to do y, my y is 16, equals 4x is 4 plus b. So 4 times 4 is 16 plus b. I'm going to subtract the 16 to both sides. And my b is actually 0. So I can just leave it as y equals 4x. Okay? Seems like a lot of work, but it's really not. It's all things we've already done before. Okay? So we can see 2, they put 84. And I'm going to end the video today, right now, because this is half of our lesson. Next class, I'll go over constructing two-way tables, which is actually the last thing in scatter plots, but I want to do that for a little bit. So I'm going to end the video now, and we will have our Zoom meeting today. Today is the 13th. Our Zoom meeting at 1:30. All right. So watch this video, get any questions together you may have, and I will see you then.